Hello folks, today's video is going to be a review of Grammarly. I'm going to be diving into the application to see whether it's a decent additional productivity tool so that you can use it to improve your spelling, grammar and writing across your day. So without further ado guys, let's dive into today's video. So let's start out with some of the important facts. So Grammarly was launched back in 2009, so it's been around for around about 11 years now, and it was actually founded in Ukraine. It was actually founded by Alex, Dmytro, Max, and they are all the founders over at Grammarly. Now, it is a digital writing tool that helps you to improve your grammar, sentences, and improves the chance of you getting caught for plagiarism. Now, you can download Grammarly on iOS and Android as a third-party keyboard. You can download it on Chrome, Safari, and Firefox as well as a way to use it through the browser. But there are also two desktop applications. There's one for Windows and also for Mac. So the concept of Grammarly allows you to automatically detect potential grammar, spelling, punctuation, word choice, and style mistakes within your writing. And apparently what it does is it's got this really advanced AI database that helps you to improve your writing as you go. So it doesn't just analyze what you've written and improved it, it also helps to make it a step further. Now, according to Grammarly, they have over 34,000 good 4.5 plus Chrome reviews, star rating, and over 20 million daily active users as well. So before we begin, let's look a little bit at the pricing as well as some of the features at the same time. So they have 3 tiers of pricing. You have a free account, a premium account, a business account. And the majority of people listening to this video will probably take advantage of the free account. I am a user of this one right now, and I have been a user of the premium in the past, but I can explain my experience of it near the end of this video. So in the free account, you do get what's called grammar, spelling, and punctuation. This is really the basics, and it will help you to eliminate any errors. So it's really focusing on just the basics. So for example, if you typed in effect, it would change it in the context of the wording to an effect with an A. So it really does try to help. You can choose whatever language you are as well. So they do US, Australian, and UK English as well. So inside of that free plan as well, you get limited access to something called conciseness. Conciseness is basically adapting things so that you can make smaller, more easy to follow sentences. So for example, changing it from it may happen that we need to decide tomorrow to we may need to decide tomorrow, so that you're just saving a bit of text as well. Now, inside of the free plan, you also get limited access to something called tone detection, which is a fairly recent technology that they've launched. But essentially, when you're writing, it will analyze that writing and basically give you almost like this rating. For example, it says your text sounds relaxed, formal, polite, for example, so that you've got a general thesis of what you're aiming towards with that text and what you're currently writing on. Now, in some of the premium, I'll mention as well, they do allow you to improve that, actually make actionable improvements to that, so that you can position your writing in the best fashion. But I'll come back to that in a bit. Inside of the free account as well, you get all the browser extensions, the MS Word and MS Outlook add-in, which is something that Microsoft users will love, Google Docs support, which is currently in beta, as well as access to the native apps on Windows, Mac, and also the keyboard apps on iOS and Android. And you only get basic suggestions across the board as well as an individual license. But to be fair, it's pretty reasonable for a free experience. And for those who are just using, say, Gmail and writing bits of text across a day, or maybe uploading something directly to the Grammarly portal, which you can do in the free account, actually it's a pretty good bet and a way for you just to improve some of the basic mistakes you're making. But again, remember that some browsers already have a spell checker in, so that's something to acknowledge. But again, the conciseness and some of the punctuation isn't something that's included in those spell checkers if you're using a basic sort of default ones. So the premium is $11.66 per month, and that is billed annually. I'll come back to the pricing in a bit as we roll through what features are included. But as you can imagine, that's quite a steep amount. But then if you're writing on a regular basis, say you're a writer, you're a student, and you're a freelancer, say, or a professional, then it's probably a good investment because, the chances are if you're improving what you're writing, the better chance of your success, maybe with contracts and even in emails, and the way you present yourself online, it's becoming more and more important. So inside of Premium, you get all that I mentioned in Basic. You also get the ability to get consistency in spelling and punctuation. For example, if you're writing inconsistencies in punctuation, so if you wrote July the 10th with 25 org, then it would change that to July 10th, August 25th, so that you've got a bit more consistency across the board when you're writing, spelling, and formatting. They also improve the fluency of writing. It will change some text from, say, we've been able to do some progress here, to we've been able to make some progress here, so that it appears a bit more natural when you're conversating. Now, the conciseness that I mentioned earlier is across all the sites, so you're able to access that without any issues. And you also get something called readability. So for example, it will identify sentences and give you recommendations to rewrite or reread it so that you fully understand. And that can be incredibly useful in case you've written something and it made sense in your head, but maybe not to the end user. Now, something you didn't get inside of the free account is something called compelling vocabulary. So what's cool is it basically uses a thesaurus to find different vocabulary. For example, instead of saying, I'm very happy to be part of the team, it could change it to a few options like thrilled, pleased, and delighted. And that can definitely change the outcome of a message to someone. And I actually found this feature pretty helpful when I was using Premium, especially to introduce new vocabulary to both me in teaching me it and also to the end user. There's also lively sentence variety. So for example, if you said, I read an interesting book recently, it was about computers, I usually read novels. It would give you some feedback about your sentence variety, saying 3 similar sentences in a row, consider changing the word order. And that's just based on the repetitiveness and the monotonous passages, apparently, and allowing you to add some bit of variety and flavor to that. Now, the tone detection I mentioned is not limited inside of Premium. You do get it across all sites, and you also get what's called some improvements on that delivery. You get confident language. So for example, if you wrote something like, I think we should be able to solve this issue for you, it would change, we can solve this issue for you, which definitely sounds a lot more confident and sort of improves the ending, especially if you were a customer advocate or someone that interacts with an end customer. It does sound a lot more confident and it puts their mind at the rest. You also had something inside of there in delivery called politeness. So for example, if you said some feedback, I hated the proposal, you could change it to something like, I wouldn't say I liked the proposal, would probably be a better way to deal with it. But it also helps you to improve that automatic reaction that you may have. It also improves the formality levels. So for example, if you wrote something like, is there anything else I can do for you, with a you just being you on its own, it would change it to you to improve that formality. But again, it really depends. Like if you're sending a message to a friend, then it's pretty relaxed. But if you're sending it to someone else, then it's going to be able to catch those errors. Say you're messaging between 2 people. It's also got inclusive language. So for example, if you wrote, the venue is accessible for guests who are confined to wheelchairs, and you would potentially change that to the venue is accessible for guests who are wheelchair users. And that might be helpful specifically for website copy and writing out elements of your website to help improve it. Now, for students, there is a popular feature inside of Premium called plagiarism. And they actually have a site called Plagiarism Checker. The Plagiarism Checker allows you to upload a file or a bunch of text that you have, and it will give you a basic report, but you need Premium for this. So if you were to get Premium, you'd be able to check, analyze whether grammar's been taken, whether resources, or even the way that you're formatting your bibliography has been stolen across the web. So you're just covering your back, and I know a lot of students have found benefit from the plagiarism experience. And apparently Grammarly checks against 16 billion web pages. So that's, again, that's something that really does help. If your school or university doesn't have a plagiarism tool, then this is a good bet for improving that. Now, looking at the premium pricing, it is quite steep. If you were to go with that $11.66 per month, that would be billed annually and come out at a pretty high £139.95. Now, I don't see many students doing this. I see a lot of students probably opting for the per quarter pricing, which looks a lot cheaper, but that's 3 months, I believe, of usage, and it's $59.95. So you may want to use it for your final semester, and that might be a more reasonable price to use. And I definitely see the pricing for the premium to be a lot more better for professionals, freelancers, and even customer interactions as well. There's lots of different uses for grammar, and it definitely does find its way across the web. You also have per month pricing as well. So you have $29.95 per month, which isn't too bad, but again, it's quite a high price to be paying. So if this is something that you're trying to check out first, you may want to go with that pricing and then opt in or upgrade to the yearly pricing. And they normally do deals, so do make sure to check out the link in the description. They do have a business plan and it has all of the premium features, but it does have a few additional admin, centralized billing and things like that. And it's perfect for teams of 3 to 149. But it is a little bit steeper at $12.50 per member per month. So that's going to be a little bit more overall, but that's more for businesses that are looking to use it. So is this worth it? Is it a valuable tool for your productivity? Now, I use the free account right now. I previously used the premium because I remember a couple of years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I managed to get the premium for 40% off. And I actually was like, I'm going to jump on this. And it worked out, it was only like, it was $70 or $80, which works out about £60. And I was just starting freelancing. So as you can imagine, writing was pretty valuable to the end job and definitely improved a lot of my writing, I'd say. I particularly benefited from the consistency in spelling and punctuation. I liked the vocabulary that it introduced as well as improving my readability. I can see now they've added value obviously in the tone detection, so that's probably why the price is probably a little bit more than it was. But at the same time, it seems like a good bet for those who can see a direct correlation in the value. So for example, for a student, if it were to improve your writing and you got a better grade because of it and you then got a better job because of it, then it's going to pay itself back in some fashion. And if that's, for example, that's probably going to be very popular with medical students because they can see their actual grade improve dramatically and obviously their job role improve dramatically. And also for freelancers, it may help you to win a few more contracts. Although again, in freelancing, it's going to be a lot more harder to be able to track that sort of thing. But you'll notice if your client is able to work out that they're impressed with your full writing skills. So everyone, hopefully that was useful for you. Let me know what you think about Grammarly below. If you had a good experience, if you had a bad experience, I'd love to know personally, so I'll be in the comments below. I'll include all of the details below. If there's any deals, I'll try and add them in the description below. So make sure to take advantage of that. Again, it's free, so you're not going to be losing out on anything much, but at the same time, it's something that may improve your productivity across your week. So folks, thank you very much, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Cheers everyone. Bye.